One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up?
7 days, we're back again for another episode of The Dominant Effect. I'm Archbishop. We got Mike Ball and Aaron Olinger. And we got a pretty good show for you tonight. But like always, we're always going to see what everybody done for the week. So we're going to start with you, Aaron, and work our way around. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Can't speak on nothing major this week. I was off this week, so I just got some rest and relaxation around the house.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I did a lot of that too. I gotta admit, I loved it. Yeah, good drinks, good hangout with people. You know, the family and stuff like that. It's been enjoyable. A lot of good food. But aside from that, you know, yeah, it's not been like something like super crazy going on or anything since last week. Personally,
that's what's up. Well, you know, same old, working. For the most part, I mean, it seems like that's all I get done these days is work. We got the movie that I was telling you about, the Nasty Truth we've been working on. Seems to be that's gonna be a pretty good movie. Seems to be pretty good. We're waiting on the other two to come out. Like I said, one is in distribution. The next one is going to be They're gonna have the red carpet done on that I think within the next month or so.
Nice.
So I keep everybody posted on that ahead of time. So try to get some people down here to actually see it before it hit the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, everything good. I was seeing the banner that I put up prior to the show. That's my mother. So happy
That's
70th
awesome.
birthday to her.
Mm.
Tomorrow is actually her birthday, but I put it up tonight because we're gonna be on tomorrow. So a birthday shout out to her. Show us some love on the chat, and then we're gonna hit the show. So as everybody probably know, it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on everywhere. It's not just here in the States, but abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And
A lot of moving parts.
yeah. So when I was trying to think about what we was going to talk about this week, being the fact there was so much stuff that was going on, then I figured, you know what, let's just kind of bundle up all of this stuff and we can just talk about it all. Because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it's a lot of stuff that's going on that we don't really know all the stuff about. So we're gonna put it all in, group it all together, and push it out that way. So the first one we're gonna talk about is: did you hear about the disease X that's supposedly spreading in Congo? Have you heard about that?
I have not.
Okay, so there's this new virus that has popped up in the Congo, and it seems like, have you noticed that a lot of these new viruses that have popped up, they always pop up in the Congo? For
No
instance,
freaking kidding.
notice that it's kind of like that's like the breathing ground of viruses. Like they just take shit there and be like, okay, let's
Drop it
try
off
out
or
here.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, let's try it out there. You know what I mean? And see what's gonna happen, motherfuckers over there. Let's just try it out and see. But so far you have over 60 deaths. As of no. Let me take that back. It was 60 deaths the other day. It's
Oh
104
shit.
deaths as of today. You have over 1,000 people that are sick. And the biggest thing with this one is that it is fast moving. Usually by the time you figured it out, you got about 48 hours and
Yeah, it's like too late.
right. It's real fast acting. And a lot of the symptoms is basically like it's just like a cold or the flu, but you have some extra, like nosebleeds, internal bleeding, respiratory distress. It's a lot of stuff going on with this particular one. And at first they try to put it off and say it was it was a couple kids that had ate a bat, and that's where they got it from. Then it went from that to being contaminated water. And then it went from that to they don't know. So they don't really know where it came from. You know what I mean? But it's knocking people down left and right.
Damn. And when did this start, roughly?
It started not too long ago, actually. They've been trying to test for other viruses to see if this is a part of it.
Got you.
Tested for Ebola. It was negative. They tested for Marburg. It was negative. They've also went and tested for a variety of different viruses that they knew was in that area, and they all tested negative as well. So this is it's spreading like wildfire, but they don't know really what it is, what's the actual
strain,
right? The actual chemical compound that makes this. They have no idea.
Wow.
You had something on there too, Aaron, about that as well, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's being investigated by the World Health Organization. The first single case of it occurred in October, but the WHO, which is the World Health Organization, they've been there for 3 months now trying to figure this out, and they still don't know what it is. cover story is it's chemical poisoning, which all the natives in the region is showing up with these 25 and 35 gallon water storage containers to get the purified water from the health centers and stuff to take back home. So they don't trust the river water or nothing that they were drinking. Then they tried to say it was rapid onset meningitis. That wasn't the case. Now they're trying to cover story is between people eating bats as a delicacy. They feel that's either that or it could be malaria, which that's not it at all. I mean, like you said, with the symptoms, diarrhea, fever, muscle aches, headaches, chills, abdominal pain, sweating, nausea, dizziness, shortness of breath, agitation, vomiting, nosebleeds. Those symptoms could be any number of diseases out there from the flu all the way down to malaria. How's it transmitted? They do not know, but they seem to feel that it's likely to be airborne. It has similarities between Ebola and Marburg, which almost puts it in a hemorrhagic class because it's going to eat you from the inside out and have you leaking blood different places. Once the symptoms occur, death occurs in 24 to 48 hours. So you've got about 2 days to get your affairs in order once you come down with the symptoms, which is both bad and good. The bad is you're only going to last 24 to 48 hours. The good is most diseases that come out that kill that quick don't get a lot of chance to spread very far. Right now, the area has been encircled by the military. They have no treatment. They have no inoculation. There's no vaccine. There's no cure for this. So they're just letting the disease run its course while they're still trying to figure it out. Like I said, they've been investigating this for over 3 months. They haven't got nowhere. They should have a
Damn.
ton of data. Part of the problem is the areas are remote. Congo's in a remote area. A lot of the areas are controlled by warlords. And then they feel, well, try to get stuff through on the roads, you got to get permission from the different warlords to cross their territory. Then they feel that the doctors that are underskilled. They feel the European doctors and USA doctors are more skilled, but seeing how many times they have to deal with Ebola all the time, I don't see how they can call the doctors underskilled. But the WHO is only wanting to admit, like you said, to about 60 deaths in the last month. But people on the scene are saying the count is much higher than what they're admitting to. And the news is not reporting a whole lot on this. I mean, you'll see maybe a news report that might last 60 to 90 seconds, and then they move on to something else. They're not really speaking on this, but
Yeah, I
this is a
haven't seen it.
disease here.
I haven't
Go
seen it
ahead,
at
go ahead.
all. I just haven't seen
Yeah.
it at all. Covering that, that I cover the news all the time every morning. I haven't seen it at all. So that's why when you brought it up, AB, I was like, oh, I haven't even heard of it. It's
I mean,
unfortunate.
with a disease that has no cure and you cannot inoculate against it, you got to contain that, because if that gets out into the world, it could spell major disaster, because you're talking about something that's probably an 80 or 90% kill ratio of the people it's going to infect and kill within 24 to 48 hours. I'm with you. It's very suspect in my mind that every other year, every 2 or 3 years, Ebola's back or some major disease is breaking out there. That's very suspect. And World Health Organization's been there for 3 months, and you don't even have a name for the disease. I mean, what's going on? That doesn't make any sense to me. You're walking around in them spacesuits, and outside of saying it has similarities and figuring out what the symptoms are, in 3 months you ain't figured out if it's airborne for sure or not. I mean, are you there just testing this out and picking up the data so that you can write down all about the disease that somebody's done made and might have patented somewhere? But I'm gonna stop there.
Well, it says here, one of the things that I was reading, it said that the infected individuals were mainly dying from sepsis. And that came from Dr. Celine Crowder. She's CBS News medical correspondent, and she's an editor for the Public Health and Health News. She said that they're not able to contain these people's blood pressure, and being that they're not being able to contain that, then that's where the organ failure stops, and that's where the biggest part is happening. It's because the blood pressure is fluctuating so much that it's shutting down your organs.
Damn.
And another thing that they were talking about on there, they said while the CDC is in communication with the Ministry of Health in Congo, it makes it harder when the U.S. is no longer under the WHO. So it makes it harder for them to get information about this stuff. And if they do get it, they're getting it secondhand now,
Right.
instead of
away.
firsthand knowledge. Right. So they're getting it as it's coming down the pike now, as opposed to, getting it as soon as they get the information is getting sent out.
Mm.
But then they asked her, is this something that you should be worried about? Like, should we be worried about another pandemic? And she said, absolutely. We have seen the emergence of infectious diseases accelerate over the past couple of decades. So, but we know that a lot of these viruses that's been coming out here in the past few years has also been weaponized. They've started out as minor diseases,
Mm-hmm.
like you're talking about COVID, bird flu, stuff like that. That was usually done to animals. Now they're getting to the point that
Totally.
humans are actually catching these. So that even with COVID-19, that came from a lab. It was weaponized.
Yep.
Along with a lot of these other things. Now you have a lot of stuff that's actually coming out more widespread. You got measles is coming out now widespread.
Yep.
So you got malaria that's starting to come out, and you got
tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, and you got these mosquitoes. That's that's your prime suspect right there. People outside running around. You got these mosquitoes, and they biting one person to the next person to the next person. Which is a good way to spread a lot of this stuff that's been going on. I think I remember back about a year ago where they were talking about mosquitoes that was put out that had viruses, that they had put them out in certain areas. And I did
hear about that.
And I've seen here for the past few weeks, they've been having these low flying planes riding through, and it's letting off this mist that they say is killing mosquitoes. That's what they're saying, that it's killing mosquitoes.
Oh boy.
But I've seen them come through our neighborhood, and they're real low. Like they're Baylor, let's say maybe 15, 20 feet above the trees, scooping by and letting off this mist. And they've been doing it here for the past, I'd say about the past month. They've been doing it. I've been seeing them at least once a week for the past month doing it. And when people started inquiring about it, they said that they were spraying for mosquitoes, which I think is total bullshit. I think it's probably something else, because shortly right after that is when all that fog and all that other shit started coming and people started getting sick.
That's weird.
So
that timing, yeah.
Like all this stuff started happening right around the same time, and we was talking about that fog before.
Mm-hmm.
That when I got sick that last time, I was out in the fog,
Mm-hmm.
and it was literally like the next day I was sick. And it's been a lot of people been talking about that because they went and checked that, went and checked for the samples and stuff like that, and found that there was actual parasites in that fog. And
that's incredible.
Yeah,
like
so
why?
There's a lot. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But this I had just been noticing when I was reading on this, was like, why come everything always seemed to happen in the Congo? Every time you turn around, if there's a new outbreak on something, it always starts
It's
in the
right
Congo.
there. Yep.
Like they just
It's
take it
weird.
there, right? For like test subjects and shit. You just take them over and like, okay, we're gonna drop this off and see what happened to them. You know what I mean? Kind of what it seems like, because you never hear about no outbreak happening anywhere else other than the Congo. But like I said, we'll leave it up to interpretation as to what we think it is. You know what I mean? But we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep on looking into it, just like we always look into stuff and see what all we can find. Because I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up finding out something else more with that. And I'm pretty sure that that's being the fact that they don't know exactly what it is, and they've tested everything that has normally went through there. They've even tested it with dengue. It's real. I mean, as well, and still it was negative. So all the major viruses that came through there that they ran tests on dealing with this, none of it come up with anything that was already there. This is something brand new. So we're gonna see. So the
Totally wild.
right. So the next thing we're gonna jump into. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen what happened in the White House with Zelensky and Trump and JD Vance and that whole little. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, I think that shouldn't even been put on TV.
Yeah. No kidding.
You know, because when you got these world leaders in a meeting, then I mean, tempers is gonna flare. Somebody gonna say something you don't like or whatever.
Spotlight's on you on
Right.
that very moment.
I thought that was a little tasteless putting it on the news. That you sitting there, you know what I mean, like dogging the shit out of somebody like that. I mean, you gotta have a certain degree of decorum. You know what I mean, especially when you got, I mean, when leaders is having a meeting, you should let them have it. Should have been televised. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna chew your ass out, just let me chew you out behind closed doors. That ain't nothing for everybody to sit there and see. You know, but there's a lot going on with that I had questions with. And one of the things was that, like shortly after that meeting, they shut off the aid to Ukraine. So they said, we're not giving no more money, we're not giving no more weapons, we're not doing anything. And then of course you got the other countries in NATO that jumped up and said, okay, well, since you ain't gonna do it, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna put troops on the ground and all this other stuff. But as I was doing my research, I found something as to the reason why we were doing this in the first place. So back years ago, when they were going through all these countries trying to get them to disarm nukes and all that, Ukraine actually had a nuclear arsenal, and they signed an agreement with the U.S. that they would give up their nuclear weapons if anything ever happened to them, that they would agree to protect them, which they did, and sign an agreement to it. Now, I didn't know that. I didn't know that agreement had actually been signed. This has been signed years ago.
And this is the agreement between.
This was an agreement between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States.
Okay.
That said that they would be willing to give up their nuclear arsenal, everything, in exchange. If anybody ever came to try to invade them, that the U.S. would in turn come in and help them. I didn't know about that agreement. I had no idea. I thought that what was going on was just simply, Biden administration jumping in, helping Ukraine. That's what I thought. Didn't know that there was an actual agreement put in place until I seen this video that Marco Rubio, back a few years ago, was explaining to people that this is what they came up with. Now, of course, now when you hear Marco Rubio talking, he's saying something totally opposite, but that's not what he said in that video.
At that time, right.
Yeah, right. So nobody never knew that there was an actual agreement signed saying that, okay, we're going to do this, and if this, and if this happens, then you're going to come in and help us. Also, during that time, they didn't know that Russia was going to be the one that was going to come in and do that. That was going to come in and be the ones that actually invade them, because, of course, they know you don't got no nukes now. You gave them all away.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that. So here's my question. If you shut down the aid and you're not giving them any more money, none of that, what's stopping Russia from just keep on going what they're doing? You know what I mean? Shouldn't there have been a deal put in place? They're like, okay, we're not going to give them no more money. We're not going to give them no more weapons. On the grounds, until y'all decide how y'all going to do this peace agreement, just do a ceasefire. Don't nobody do nothing. We're not going to give them no more missiles. We're not going to give them no more money. It's like you took all this, but then you still allowing them to keep fighting. So what's your opinion on it? Either one of you.
Okay, I'll roll with that. You're right. There was an agreement signed when they was trying to denuclearize a lot of countries, especially third world countries around the world. Ukraine was the number one nuclear armed country in Europe at that time.
I
They
did
got
not know
most of their
that.
nukes. Yeah, they got most of their nukes from Russia. And Ukraine agreed that if the United States was to protect them and Russia agreed not to invade them, they would surrender their nukes, which they did. But shortly after that, Russia went in there and seized an area of their territory. And based upon that, North Korea decided not to denuclearize. And anyone that had nukes at that point wasn't going to give them up after they saw what took place. The fact that we pulled out is a bad sign, but going to the meeting, and I know you guys all saw the argument on TV, what was going on behind the scenes of that. And if you see the whole thing and not just the snippet that they put out for propaganda, the snippet is back on January 17th, Zelensky signed an agreement with Great Britain to sell his mineral rights to them, provided they would send in troops and things, which we all know Great Britain's getting ready to send in troops. So when Zelensky promised to Trump that we're going to go ahead and give you mineral rights or give you the benefits of the sales of the minerals, Great Britain got in touch with Trump and said, no, we got paper from January 17th. He signed with us. He can't give you what he don't have.
Sure.
Zelensky was double dipping here, and he kind of screwed us. He was going to get a big fat check, get a bunch of weapons, and we weren't going to get nothing because he lied to us. That's the reason why J.D. Vance went off on him. And that's the reason why Trump went off on him. He got caught. So now Trump wants an apology because without our help, they would have got overrun in 2 or 3 weeks. So, but Britain is wanting some money because their economy's failing. They're losing all their gold right now because the BRIC Alliance is wanting to be paid in gold, not British pound sterling notes no more. So they're running out of gold. They need the mineral rights from some of these smaller countries to try to prop up their economy right now. A whole bunch of people are in that position where they need to do a theft of smaller countries' mineral rights right now. So it's going to get bad. I know Great Britain got a promise from France. They got a promise from Germany. They're going to send in 30,000 troops. They're also going to supply Ukraine with Taurus missiles, which is a longer range missile. But I believe in all of Europe, there's either only 300, no, there's either 500 or 600 Taurus missiles in all of Europe. And they're going to give Zelensky about 100 of them. And after that, that clearly shows that Europe does not have the armament reserves to keep Ukraine in the game long term. But it is what it is right now. But they're going
Yeah.
into negotiation. You know, if Ukraine wants to last, they're going to have to give the apology for getting caught red-handed trying to double cross us like that. But if they don't feel they need our help, good luck with Europe trying to keep them in the game. But I'll stop there.
Yeah, with regard to Ukraine, as long as they just stay out of NATO, then we're going to be doing somewhat okay here. And truth of the matter is both sides really need this war to finish. You know, especially Putin at this point. You know, he went from being one of the richest men basically on the world to being broke. You know, so he definitely wants this shit over with, and this whole thing is a total clusterfuck, and of course we're involved in it somehow, one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
Somehow
The
we've
top
got our
five
hand in it.
conditions. The top 5 conditions Russia's asking for is no NATO membership for Ukraine. They're going to make no territorial concessions from Russia. So any of the territory that Russia's captured, they get to keep. That's the reason why the Russians are pressuring them right now. And they're capturing more territory day by day, because they're going to be able to keep it. Europe must defend itself. They do not want the United States defending Europe. Then the other 2 conditions are they want U.S. troops to withdraw from the Baltics, which that's Estonia, Lithuania, and God, I can't think. It's another L country. And then the 5th thing is they want to undermine Zelensky's legitimacy as leader of that country. They also don't want Ukraine to be able to rearm. So if peace is declared, Ukraine's going to have to be standing there with no standing army to stop anybody from being able to come in and take more territory anytime somebody gets good and ready. But
I mean, that
I'll
sounds like a
stop there.
one-sided deal, though, don't you think?
Yeah,
It's like you name
That's
off
what
everything that you want, but I mean, it seemed pretty one-sided. It's everything that you don't want. I mean, but you're still in somebody else's country, though. You know what I mean? Okay, but you don't want to give them back their land. You don't want to give them that back. Now I could see Crimea, because you've been and took that. You've been took Crimea, so I could see you keeping that. But the stuff that you done picked up along this war, I mean, why not give it back?
because there's trillions of dollars in mineral rights underneath the territory that Russia has captured, and they want to keep that. And that's the reason why Russia told Trump he can't give you no mineral rights. We got that ground, and we're not giving it back. And then we find out from Great Britain that they done bought the mineral rights or got exclusive acts to it, and we're getting tricked. That's the reason why Trump said we're called Uncle Sam, we're not called Uncle Sucker. Now I'll stop there.
Well, you see, I didn't know anything about all that, about all the extra stuff, about the agreements and all that stuff until I seen that video. Matter of fact, I didn't have it, but I just pulled it up because I just want you to see it.
Yeah.
When the Soviet Union fell in the early 1990s, Ukraine was left with the world's 3rd largest stockpile of tactical nuclear weapons and strategic nuclear weapons on the planet. But they signed this agreement with the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia that basically said, if you give up your nuclear weapons, we, these 3 countries that signed to this, will provide for your defense and assure you of your defense. And so Ukraine did that. They gave up these weapons. Well, now, this was signed in 1994, 20 years later, one of the 3 countries that signed that agreement hasn't just not provided for their defense, they actually invaded them. And I want to make a point on this for a second. Think about if you're one of these other countries around the world right now that feels threatened by your neighbors. And the United States and the rest of the world are going to you and saying, listen, don't develop nuclear weapons. We will protect you. We will watch out for you. What kind of lesson do you think this instance sends to them? I think the message this is sending to many nations around the world is perhaps we can no longer count on the security promises made by the free world.
You see, that's not what he's saying now.
No. Right.
That was outstanding, Bishop. I'm glad you played that.
You know, so like I said, I seen that, but I had heard him talking right after. And I don't know what he said, Penguin. You just heard him. You just heard him too. I don't know the actual agreement. I just know what the man said. Now, this man is also your Secretary of State now, but this is what he said. And of course, he didn't sidewind that now. He didn't sidetrack what he didn't say it now. So see, that's why sometimes some of this stuff is good, because you gotta keep people honest these days. You know what I mean? You gotta sometimes you may gotta go back and pull your receipt, like, hold up now. That's not what you said back then. Now you're saying that now, but that's not what you said then. You know what I mean? And like I said, I never knew anything about that until I just happened to just been searching and found it. Like, oh shit, he just switched up. You know what I mean? Okay, so they got the so they talking about they working on this peace agreement. You got the battle going back and forth between, you know, Trump and Zelensky, and, you know, they had the thing with JD Vance. Now, here's another question. Another thing that I seen on there was that they were talking about the Secretary of Defense. It went to Central Command and told them to pause all cyber operations and planning against Russia. Also went to the Department of Justice and the Treasury Department, talking about trying to draft up something to get rid of the sanctions to Russia. My question is why? Why are we now getting rid of these sanctions that's been there for years? Why are we doing this now? Why are we putting a pause on all cyber operations and planning, being that we know that here for the past couple of years, a lot of these cyber threats that's been going on with these hospitals, the stuff with Microsoft and along with a couple of other ones, has all been people in Russia that's been doing that. So why are we just easing up now on them? This is just, I know you may not know the answer to it. Just your thoughts.
It's all going to be part of the negotiation process. I mean, Russia's outlined their first offer. Now it's going to be Zelensky and Trump's turn to figure out what they're going to counteroffer with. And hopefully everybody can meet in the middle somewhere. But I'm glad I'm not Zelensky, because whatever he signs, he's signing away his country for probably the next 20-something years. He's signing away their mineral rights. He's signing away their land. I mean, by the time history records him, he's going to be the guy that sold out his country, from the way it looks to me. But we'll see what the end result turns out to be. I'll stop there.
But what are we putting in for on this so-called peace treaty? Why is it that we got to do anything? I mean, that's them. Why is it that we got to sit here? I mean, because a lot of these sanctions didn't take place because of them fighting Ukraine. A lot of these sanctions been in effect for a long period of time. So why is it now that we just gonna give it up? Like, we're gonna pause all cyber operations. We're gonna plan all planning strategies. We're gonna put everything on pause. Why?
Because of that Yugoslav Accords or whatever that was. We agreed to help them, which we have been providing to help. So technically, we're in it. We might be a sideline partner, but we're in it. We're going to be part of the peace process, because they're going to have to figure it out. And all that money that we seized, that we was going to give to Ukraine, Russia's going to want those assets back too. It's all part of the negotiations, and Russia put that out on the table. So it's there to be negotiated on.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. Why is why is Ukraine's peace agreement based on us dropping shit over here? You know what I mean? Now
I understand.
NATO is more than just the US.
Yes.
I mean, so why is it that we are the ones that got to drop this, give this back, do this? For them, that's their peace agreement, not ours.
Fair question.
That's what I'm not understanding.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a fair question.
Especially when these sanctions been in place. before this even took place.
But yeah, beforehand. Right. I get you. Is it just you think that maybe it's going to be a renegotiation of terms because things just change over the course of time?
Well, like I said, there's more to it. Okay, so you got up to where they halted the aid in Ukraine, which they did. They want to end the sanctions. They want Russia back in the G7, which they got out of the G7 because of what they did to Ukraine. And then they want to open back the embassies, the Russian embassies in the U.S. What the fuck? Why? Why are we doing that? Why do we have to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't.
What's the obligation, no. Right?
Exactly. What's the reason for this?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because it seemed like that he just, Putin just gave you a Christmas list and you just went down the list and just start checking off shit. And that's what you're doing. That's what it looks like. Because it looks like that you about to let him off the hook off of every fucking thing. And then he keeps every fucking thing and goes on about his business. And Ukraine ends up with a heaping pile of shit that's left over after they just sat there and bombed the shit out of him. You know what I mean? Now, part of that, part of that's some of that money that they have been sending over there. They were sending over there to keep the power on, keeping those power structures, because they keep bombing them and they keep going back fixing them. So some of that money that they was giving them was going back, rebuilding them power structures to put power back in those areas, but they keep knocking them out. So, like I said, now they're not getting that money. So of course you knock that out. What are you gonna do? Freeze everybody to death now, right?
Yeah. Savage.
I mean, so it seems to me like it started out kind of like on the right foot, and then it's slowly sliding the bullshit. That's exactly what it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Based on this list of stuff that I got right here that I know for a fact has went on. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But the one of the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, made a comment yesterday, and he said that the new administration is rapidly changing all foreign policy configurations. This largely coincides with our vision. What vision? Now that's a Kremlin spokesperson. What vision? So you just basically just gave the administration the fucking Christmas list, and you just went through and checked off to see how much shit you could actually check off and give them these motherfuckers for nothing, because you ain't getting nothing out this deal. What are you getting out this deal? I mean, are they gonna give you the mineral rights to the spots that they done took over? Is that what this is about? Since Ukraine can't give it to you because they gave it to Great Britain, so what you gonna double back and do this? You can get the mineral rights to the spots that Russia took over. And then two, you also got to think that just because you cut that off, that doesn't keep Russia from keep fighting. That keeps them, they gonna keep advancing. And you're not getting the technology and the weapons and stuff from the U.S. You're not worried about any U.S. soldiers being involved in this. So you keep on going. Okay, so you take over Ukraine completely. What's going to stop you from going over into Poland and Lithuania and everywhere else that you was talking about going, so you can unify that full Soviet Union track that it originally was? What's stopping them from doing that?
It's a valid question.
What's stopping them from doing that if we step back? What's stopping them from doing that?
Nothing.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. So there was a so you got another thing that's going on where you got Turkey, Iran, and Egypt. They're going in talks right now about Israel. And I know Aaron, this is his big thing. He's been talking about this for a couple of days, so I'm gonna let him.
Let the man get at it. Yes,
he's been big on this one. So I'm gonna turn you loose on this one, Aaron.
Nice.
Okay. Right now we're in the Ramadan holiday season, which is the holy days. And as of today, Netanyahu went and decided to stop the flow of humanitarian aid, that's food, water, and medicine, into what they're calling the ruins. That's what the Arabs are calling the ruins, where it's actually the battlefield of Gaza. Um, and Israel has totally cut off everything. They got them surrounded on three sides. Gaza, that half of Gaza is a combat zone that they're calling the ruins. Uh, the Arabs are accusing them of genocidal behavior on the part of Israel. But keep in mind that Iran and the other Arab nations are sitting back saying that they're not going to stop until Israel is destroyed and no longer exists. Could that be genocidal behavior? Uh, Iran knows and has prepared to fight Washington and Israel right now. They know war is coming and they're preparing. Egypt has moved forces, including tanks and artillery, which is against a treaty, into the Sinai Peninsula. Now they're sitting on the border with Israel. Turkey, which has the largest military force in the area, has threatened to jump in with the Arab nations to move against Israel. And they're saying right now, once the Arab nations jump in, Jordan and Saudi Arabia will be drawn into the conflict on the Arab side. Right now, they've been staying neutral. They've even been letting us use their airspace, or letting Israel use their airspace to strike against certain proxy armies that they've been fighting. They got a meeting called for Thursday. It's going to be Iran, Egypt, and Turkey, and Syria's been invited. That new group, the HTS or whatever, that runs Syria, and they're going to decide the possibility of a military response and how they're going to rebuild Gaza. So it's going to be interesting to see if Israel continues to hold back humanitarian aid, which to me that's basic siege technology. I mean, if the police surround your house, they're going to cut your air off, they're going to cut your power off, they're going to put you under a siege. They're not going to allow food, water, nothing to come into you. If you're surrounding a city to take a city, you're going to put it under a siege. You're not going to allow food and water and stuff to go into the enemy. Israel was being nice, shipping that stuff to the very people that was shooting at them. Now that they've stopped, a bunch of Arab countries are talking about coming in and putting Israel in position to fight on multiple fronts. And we have a joint protection agreement with Israel. They start getting attacked on that level. The United States has to intercede with the forces we got in the area. Now, we kind of saw this coming. We've sent some National Guard units from here over to military bases in the Middle East to beef up our presence there. Now, right now, they know in the past that when Israel knows they're about to be attacked, they do a preemptive strike and they send in their air force to strike certain things. Turkey, Egypt, and Iran are expecting it, and they say they're ready for it. So right now, if we got into a multi-front war, that's going to greatly damage our economy if we're drawn into it. And we already got National Guard forces going over there to beef up our frontline combat military. And then we got a pretty good sized Navy in the area. But that situation get hot, and that's a lot of people to have to fight at one time on Israel. So I don't know if they've got enough Patriots and whatever other missiles over there to stop being shot at from all sides in the event that this escalates. And it really has the potential. Tomorrow's meeting is going to decide that. So I'll stop there.
So do you think that there is that going to be a situation where you think they're going to be like, okay, you either release this aid or else type situation?
That's the situation that they're putting Netanyahu into. You don't want war, then you're going to have to supply them. And then we're going to go in and rebuild the city. But if Netanyahu says, no, these guys keep hitting us, we're going to end them once and for all, then it will be definitely a war situation, because the rest of the Arab countries aren't going to stand there and let that happen. They're
Hmm.
already calling it a genocide, even though it was Hamas who started this whole damn thing. Only thing the Israelites asked for was the hostages to come back and they would turn loose the humanitarian aid. But Hamas will not release the hostages. And then they want to holler genocide. Well, what can you say? I mean, everybody's got their own ideology of how they want to look at and whose side they want to be on. But in the end, who's going to win is what's going to matter. And the person that can bring the most force with the most manpower to a situation usually can overrun somebody of a weaker force. Without the United States, Israel would have no shot of holding
Hmm.
that back, that kind of force.
Mhm. So do you think that the U.S. would back out on that, being the fact that they've been helping Israel all this time? Now, just here a few
Oh,
weeks
that's a
ago,
good
they were
question.
talking about uh, moving people out of the Gaza Strip
Mm,
and then basically like reconditioning it. You know what I mean?
hmm.
Well,
So do you think the U.S. would actually back off on that?
No.
I got two answers for you on that.
Eh.
Israel has been our number one ally in that region for probably as long as I've been alive. So, based upon that assumption, I would say no. But if you look at the history of the United States, uh, Aristide, Marcos in the Philippines, you can go down a list, the Shah of Iran, all these people, and there's like 6 or 8 names that you could look up who was our allies. And in their time of need, we left them hanging. So if you go by the strength of our alliance with Israel, I would say no. But if you go by the history of the United States, we have shown we left 8 people hanging that was supposed to have been our ally. So man, I don't have an answer for that one. I'm leaning 75% toward siding with Israel, but I just don't know. I can't say for definite.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer for dang sure, but I think it's a great question, um, because at the top, it's very easy to have a connection with something, or you think like it's forever, and then all of a sudden they get ditched off, and boom, now it's something else, the next greatest or whatever. So it is a fantastic question, but I don't know the answer to that. I would say that just in current time, and from what I've seen, um, anecdotally, as well as going all the way back to World War II, I just don't see that changing anytime soon.
Mhm. Well, looks like we're gonna see. Now, Aaron. Now I know you big on looking up stuff dealing with Israel and Palestine and all that area. What's the big hype about the Gaza Strip? Why come everybody wants the Gaza Strip? What's so
Mm,
special about it?
Well, Israel took that territory. They took the Sinai Peninsula. They took the Golan Heights. And then there's a fourth area that they took. And they was going to use those as buffer zones so that if they were ever invaded, they would be fighting on foreign territory that they captured in battle and paid for in blood, and not be fighting on their land. But the Obama administration made them give a lot of that back. And then the Palestinian Liberation Organization that used to be around when I was young, that got beat all the way back to that major city in Lebanon that was the luxury whatever of the Middle East. Uh, they destroyed them. They wiped them out. I mean, some of these splinter groups and these proxy groups that are out there now were all formerly PLO. So they kept saying there was always the Palestinian question. You have to have land for the Palestinians. It's almost like the way the United States gave land to the Indians. So they gave them that piece of land as a settlement, but then those people keep attacking. And uh, Hezbollah got the Golan Heights when Israel gave that back. Egypt retook the Sinai Peninsula. Israel pushed Egypt all the way back to the Suez Canal, and nothing could go up and down the Suez Canal without Israel allowing it to happen. And part of the treaty that they signed with Egypt is that Egypt could not put long-range artillery or forces into the Suez Canal. Man, you got tank armies and everything in the Suez Canal with long-range artillery sitting right there on the border with Israel. The Sinai Peninsula. So all that land that they gave back, and Obama told them, well, you got nukes. Well, Israel didn't want to have to use nukes. They wanted to have kind of a buffer zone that they could fight on and give up a little territory or push them back without fighting on their own land. But now they have no other choice. If they start to get a major invasion done on them, they're going to be fighting on their land, and Israel's not that big. So they're going to have to go to nukes, or what they call the Samson option, right off the rip if all them armies start coming at them at one time. And to be honest with you, I'm a true believer in the Bible. If the United States has to choose to be on Israel's side or against Israel, I want to be on Israel's side. So
Yeah, I
I'll stop
agree.
there.
I agree. If you see, people getting, blown up from pagers, and then you find out that those pagers were inserted by the people that actually manufactured it 10 years prior. Like, that is mind blowing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I wouldn't want to be against them either. That shit is crazy.
Yeah, that seemed like, I think dealing with that particular area with as many years has been going on with the fighting, it's not going to really matter who does what over there, because they're gonna fight until the last day. They're gonna fight till God come back. That's what they're gonna do. So when they were talking about rebuilding and making it, putting these hotels and all that stuff, for what? So you can go through and bomb them? Because that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna build something to blow it up. It's basically what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? Because there's never gonna be peace on that side. It's never gonna happen.
And something I wanted to express a concern about, and I did a show about regarding the Gaza ordeal. A concern that I have is, if we're going to have like Americans being, this is the ideology that Americans are going to be going over there, either vacationing or staying there, or residency, whatever the case is. There's a lot. I mean, that's right there on the axis of resistance, man. What happens when even just one of our American citizens essentially gets hurt? What happens now? Now what, we're automatically thrown into a fucking whole ass war? And these are the things that I kind of see, and I'm like, that looks like a problem.
And I'm going to add to that. I'd like to add to. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. I'd like to add to that. The benefit for Israel to have the Gaza is that landmass on one side is thin enough that if they wanted to build another Suez Canal or Panama Canal, that's where you would put it in at. So you can build your resorts, you can build your motels, and then you can have this canal built right there. It's going to make a ton of money for you if you got control of that land. The people living in Gaza could turn it into that, but they don't have the financial backing. Israel would have the U.S. backing, so that could be done by them. But Egypt wouldn't want that there, because that would take money away from the Suez Canal. They make a ton of money off of that canal. But if you add another canal right there into Gaza, there'd be a lot of money to be made bringing shipping through there. But I'll stop there.
Now, wasn't they talking about trying to acquire that area by the Suez Canal to basically make like another Panama Canal? When they talking about that not too long ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would be one of the reasons why the U.S. would want to stick around, for they could get their hands on that.
Well, I know the Israelis want it for that money, because that would go a long ways to getting them off of us having to have economic aid every year to save their economy. Man, that would finance their economy just about right there.
Yeah,
and that would save you a lot of time to keep you from having to go all the way around to come back.
It does.
You cut straight through.
Mm-hmm. It does exactly that. Something that's kind of a thought process is something that I've been concerned about just from watching, I guess, from afar, is believe it or not, Syria. Syria is, it's been said and known that that is where the trade route runs through. And that is dangerous for us because I know that we'll make deals with anybody. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. We can't get sucked into that right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then that seems like that's what we get involved in all the time.
Yes, we do.
We make deals,
Yep.
and then later on, you renege on your deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No kidding.
Or you make a deal based on something that you actually trying to get out there. Like when we had the Panama Canal. I mean, hell, you had it, you gave it back. Now you want it back.
Yeah. No
You know what I
kidding.
mean? I mean, you didn't realize how much money you was losing by giving it back, but you did. Now you want it back. You know what I mean? The same thing with the Suez Canal. I mean, I think, like, yeah, we're going to, like, I think about 95% U.S. is not going to let Israel fend for their own. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to do that. But there is, like I said, just like with Ukraine, just like with Greenland and anything else, it's because they want something out the deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not because I'm doing this out of goodwill. It's because I want something out this shit.
Usually some resource reasons.
Right. I want something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it seems like nowadays that it's never something that you do because, okay, Mike, I'm your friend, so I'm gonna do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's okay, Mike, I'm gonna do this, but when you get this, then I want this in return.
In exactly this amount of time and this, yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's what it seems like a lot of this stuff is. This is the reason why a lot of these countries is fighting now. You know what I mean? Just off of just little simple shit. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. So the last topic we're gonna hit is what just took place at midnight tonight, and that's these tariffs. This is gonna be, in my opinion, this is gonna be a total shit show. Simply because of everybody threatening each other. If you giving Canada 25%, okay, we're gonna cut the lights out. You give Mexico 25%, then we're gonna do this. You gave China another 10? Is that what they gave them? Another 10 over top of what they already had?
I don't know, actually.
Now
They're at 20.
They're at 20 now?
Yeah.
Okay. So now they're threatening that, that they're ready for war at any time. Last thing they said.
Yeah.
So is there an actual happy space here? Because it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it for right now. Now, I mean, just going by the numbers, based on the economy-wise, the U.S. is like 10 times larger than Canada, and like 7 times larger than Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got 75% of Canada's exports come to the U.S. 80% of Mexico's come to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with these tariffs, of course, everything is gonna skyrocket. So you're gonna be paying more, probably for less. Because if you notice, like a lot of this stuff nowadays, I went the other day, and you notice how you like you buy something that you've been buying for years and never paid attention to it, and then you look at it and you realize that they've actually dropped it down a half ounce or an ounce.
Sure.
Looks the same, but it's actually, it's less product.
Mm-hmm.
But you pay more for it. Today, I went in the gas station to get a can of Coke, regular can of Coke.
Yep.
It's $3.45
For this.
for a can of Coke.
That's insane.
$3.45 for a can of Coke.
No, that's wild.
Not no tall boy Coke, regular size Coke.
Yeah.
$3.49. Okay, of course, it's gonna
That's
sit
like a
there.
beer.
Right. It's gonna sit there. It'll gain dust before I buy that shit. It's gonna be there. You know what I mean? But this is like stuff that I really wasn't paying attention to because I really don't buy Coke like that. You know what I mean? Usually I just buy one every now and again when I'm trying to mix it with my Jack or something like that. Other than that, I don't buy Coke.
Yeah, I got that.
But I'm looking at stuff and like now you're thinking like, okay, I'm looking at the gas price now. I'm looking at certain things because we know that a month from now, this stuff is going to be way higher. We're going to be paying way more money for it. Now, being the fact that we're already at an economic squeeze already, and it's about to get a little bit tighter because, like I said, you got people that's being laid off and fired, and you know, unemployment shit is jumping up, benefits getting cut, all this other stuff. It's gonna be even worse with these prices shooting up. But then you got Canada, of course, and you have one over there. I forget exactly what his name is, but he's talking about shutting off the electric up in the northeast corner of the U.S. And I found this little, what's his name there?
I think it's Trudeau, but I'm not sure.
No,
I think
not
that's
Trudeau. This is
No,
the
yeah.
other guy. This is the other guy, not
Okay.
Trudeau. Matter of fact, I got a small video for it. I'm gonna play it right quick.
Pierre or something, maybe.
Something like that.
I will shut down the electricity going down to the U.S. And I'm telling you, we will do it. It's unfortunate. I would rather ship you more electricity, ship you more critical minerals. I want to ship you more energy, more potash to keep your farmers going, and uranium that you use for your nuclear power. It comes through from Saskatchewan over to Ontario. And it's going to be a massive, massive problem.
You are ready, sir, to go to war, to go to a trade war with the United States, with the Trump administration.
We will respond like they've never seen before. You need our uranium, you need our potash, you need our high-grade nickel. I will stockpile our high-grade nickel, that 50% of your military and manufacturing needs, your aluminum, the steel, the lumber. It will be an absolute disaster. And this is all due to one person, that's President Trump. I will stop shipments going into the U.S. for nickel. It will shut down manufacturing because 50% of the nickel you use is coming out of Ontario. I've ordered our bureaucrats to cut off tens of billions of dollars of contracts. I'm going after absolutely everything. We keep the lights on to 1.5 million homes in manufacturing in New York, in Michigan, and in Minnesota. If he wants to destroy our economy and our families, they're going to feel the pain like they've never felt before. Canadians are resilient, we're strong, we're proud, and we're going to fight back like they've never seen before. And I'm sorry to the American people that your president has decided to do this. I apologize, but he's giving us no choice. But when one person attacks our country unprovoked, then we're going to respond, and we're going to respond like the U.S. has never seen before.
Never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, me and Aaron talked about this a couple days ago, and so he was like, "Well, you know, like the U.S. is the biggest country in the world. I mean, we're not really worried about this." Now, I get that.
And the biggest consumers too.
Right. That's okay. So here's my problem. Now, let's just talk about the power, and I'm gonna talk about that because that's one thing I used to do. Now, we've had several shows where we've talking about the power grids and stuff like that. We've been talking about that. They know for a fact that the power grid isn't up to par as it should be. It isn't protected as well as it should be. Now, I think one of our biggest problems is that we have gotten to the point where We just not done it here. We pulled it in from everywhere else. And then now you have it to a situation to where somebody can say, oh, well, you know what? I'll just shut your lights out. You know what I mean? Which shouldn't happen. But it can. Now, people can say, okay, well, you know what? We can just, build our own power grid from our end, and then we ain't got to worry about that. Right? You can. But you're going to be in the dark until then. And that ain't some shit you just snap your fingers and it just pops up.
Right.
You know
There's some
This is-
downtime.
right. This has been done. So the power grid infrastructure should have been fixed a long time ago. It should have been fixed. All the stuff, all of the precious stuff that that somebody else may be giving you, but you are at risk that you could lose it. You should already have something here to counteract that. So it'd be like, okay, well, don't worry about it. You don't need. Okay, we can easily switch this and take this completely off that grid anyway. We don't need.
Yep.
That.
Like a generator
what I mean?
switch.
Exactly. Like you talking about like the chips that's over in Taiwan. Okay, now you building these infrastructures here to where they're able to make those chips. Yeah, you should have been doing that though. I mean, why do you wait to where it's almost a conflict to then say, okay, I want to build this stuff when you knew that this stuff here could be manipulated at any time and you did nothing? You know what I mean? So, okay. So you got 75% of Canada's exports that come here. You got 80% of Mexico's exports that come here. This is stuff that we buy. This is regular, everyday stuff that we buy.
Good thing I buy from China only.
That's getting ready to jack up.
I had to.
But this thing, you just put 20% on China. So that's about to jack up too.
That is true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's something that everybody's going to feel the pinch on. Everybody.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it comes down to the consumer every time.
Now, exactly, because like I said, that company has to pay the tariff. Then that company is going to raise their price to make the money back from the tariff that they're paying. So then, of course, you are the one that ends up paying it at the end of the day. You are the one. Okay. You're the one that's paying for these high prices. How long is that going to last before people get outraged? Because, now all of a sudden, let's say that your gas shoots up a couple dollars, or you paying, $6 for a damn tomato, or $7 for an avocado, or you paying $12 for maple syrup, or just whatever. Because there's so much stuff that comes from these two countries that come here that we use every day. It's numerous stuff that we use every day. So the question is, how bad do you think it's going to be? And what is it that, and I know this part will be for Aaron, what is it that people should do now in preparation for this price hike?
Oh, that's a great question.
Okay. Give me a little latitude. I want to define, for those who don't know what tariffs and stuff are, I want to define 3 terms for them. A tariff is a tax or duty to be paid on a particular class of imports or exports. Now, when they put these tariffs in place, that automatically puts us in a position being a trade war. A trade war is a situation in which countries try to damage each other's trade by imposing tariffs or quota restrictions. Now, Trump announced that he's using what is called reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal tariffs is a tax or trade restriction that one country places on another in response to similar actions taken by that country. China, Mexico, and Canada all had 15% or more tariffs on us and had restrictions in place as to how much we could give to them or import into their country. However, they wanted full access to our market with no tariffs. Trump said that was an unfair deal, and it is. So he's putting whatever tariff they got on us, he's putting the same thing back on them. Now, the pros to having tariffs is it helps domestic business better compete in the world market. It also makes products expensive to import. So businesses who left here, and I'm going to use the example of General Motors and Ford went to China because China has almost 2 point something billion people, where the
Yeah.
United States only has 330. So they
Hmm.
thought they was going to go over there and sell all these cars. But when they got over there, they found out the Chinese people were loyal to the Asian companies and wouldn't buy their product. So they had to ship the cars back here to the United States. Well, they turned their backs on us. Now, if we put a tariff on it, their stuff is going to be so expensive coming back in here, it won't pay for them to ship that over here. However, if they bring jobs back into this country and they build back in this country, which they're having to do because they were getting ready to build the world's largest car plant in China. But when word of these tariffs went around, they canceled that build, and they're getting ready to build the world's largest car plant in the United States. Because if they build here, they can have access to our markets with no tariffs. So that's how that would benefit. And to win that, you win by attrition in a trade war. The country that can outlast the other is the one that wins. Will the American people, that brings me to the con, in short term, and we're talking maybe a year or two, maybe three, in the short term, it makes products and food higher on the consumers. That's the negative to it. But can the American people absorb that higher cost for right now longer than, say, the Canadian people? Our money is worth more than theirs. So if something was to cost us $50 because their money is worth less than us, it's going to cost them $70 or $75 to buy the same product. So they're going to be paying a higher expense. The Mexican people, they're mostly kind of poor down that way. Can they fight a long-term trade war with us and watch their people suffer when everything's going to cost even more for them than it will for the American people? When you get into a trade war, you win by attrition. You outlast your enemy. And can we, at this point, buy oil from Venezuela rather than get it from Canada? Can we subcontract that work out to other nations to where we can keep the prices the same over here or have very minimal increase, and again, just outlast them? Because they're counting on us to buy their products. We're
Right.
not counting on them to buy ours. So you win a trade war through attrition. You outlast the enemy. Now, China said today that they're prepared to fight the United States on any level of warfare, economic. It could be through tariffs. It could be trade wars. It could be real wars. I mean, Z was bragging today. They are totally prepared to fight us on any level of type of warfare that we'd want to fight them on. So things about to get interesting. And to answer your question, I'm telling people right now, you better be getting a emergency fund together. You better start holding on to your money. If you think about buying a car, I'd wait at least another 18 months. I mean, if you can get yours fixed and
Mm.
keep it running, I wouldn't be going out there signing my name on any big purchases right now. And I would be stocking that food and water pantry and those medicines, because when that trade war and stuff starts, there's going to be shortages here. If you want to have these things, you better already have them on your shelf, and stock up that deep freeze, whatever you can, because food's going to get more expensive. It's going to be cheaper today than it will be 6 months from now. I mean, just like on the silver market, the gold maple leafs, because the tariffs go into effect, they're going to be high. I mean, given a choice of buying American uh, silver eagles or buying Canadian maples, where the Canadian maples were the cheaper, better buy, they're going to be so high now that it brings me back to the American product. This is now the cheaper buy. Even with the premiums on it, it's going to be cheaper than what the Canadian maples will be. But I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there.
That was great. That was fantastic. Great way of explaining how tariffs work, by the way. Aaron, that was fantastic.
Now you was talking about, Aaron, about the oil, talking about getting the oil from Venezuela as opposed to getting it from Canada. But wouldn't you actually pay more getting it from Venezuela because you got a transit here as opposed to using a pipeline and it's coming here?
True.
Wouldn't you actually pay more?
It depends upon the price that you purchase it for, because you're
Yep.
purchasing by the euro. Venezuela and Argentina has experienced an economic uh, downturn. I mean, major. Uh, so they're more inclined to take whatever deal that you can give them. Uh, and if you can buy it cheap enough, then the shipping won't be a matter. But let's say if the shipping is the problem, keep in mind the United States is in the top 10 exporters of oil. So do we really need to import it? I mean, China and Japan buys our oil because it's super pure. It's high quality. And then we end up buying from these smaller nations
Yep.
a cheaper quality. Even in food, China and Japan bids the highest on our American grown products. And then we buy our cattle and stuff from Mexico and Argentina and Brazil and these third world countries. That's how all those foodborne viruses like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria is coming in here. It ain't coming from the American made food. We're selling that. It's coming from the food we're importing in here to us that doesn't have the same standard that we have to grow ours. So is the price going to be higher? Yeah. Can the American public take it on the chin for 2 or 3 years? Possibly. But as it gets deeper into it, you're going to hear people say, well, trade war with Canada's over with, trade war with whatever's over with. Uh, we can go back to zero tariffs, zero tariffs on Canada, zero tariffs on the United States, zero restrictions. If you have full access to our market, we should have full access to your market. No import limitations. That would be the fair way to do it. But right now, it's going to be reciprocal tariffs. Anybody that puts a tariff on us, we're putting the same amount on them, and we'll see who's left standing at the end. I'll stop there.
So, Aaron, real quick, well, to kind of add on to the oil thing, to answer Archbishop as well, is I worked in that industry for a decade. And what's interesting about it is when we purchase oil, whatever it comes off of whatever ship, I mean, it could be holding 2 million barrels of oil. When it's ironic how you would think that you would purchase it for whatever price and then pay for shipping kind of ordeal. But the way that we purchase it is we purchase it from the second it comes off of the ship. So that's kind of interesting because we have actually held off ships for 40, 50, 60, 70 days straight with full cargo that just sailed all the way through, but they can't unload it until there's a certain price hike or lower or whatever that however it's bought. It's very interesting how that works, but I just want to kind of add a little context on that.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. How long do you think this trade war with Canada will last if they go and cut the lights out? How long do you think it's gonna last?
It depends upon the level of their economy right now. Is their economy top notch? Is their standard of living equal to the American standard of living? That's what's going to determine, is their manufacturing at a higher level than ours, our potential. I mean, right now we give China $10.2 million in economic aid every year. We give Mexico $112.6 million in economic aid. We give Canada $7.3 million in economic aid. If we're in a trade war, do those people think we're going to cut them a check? Are we going to pay them to be in a war against us, or are we going to actually go to war here and see whose economy is going to outlast whose? I mean, we're going to go into a stagflation setting. The economy is going to dry up. It's going to get rough like it was under Reagan, and people need to be prepared for that. They better be holding on to their money, not at the strip club making it rain. You better be pooling your money and investing in hard assets right now.
But
Because
Aaron,
I'm
I
going to
like
tell
to
you,
make it rain. I like to make it rain in
well,
the
I'm
club.
going to tell you this.
No, I'm just
You
kidding.
better get that
When I was
change.
under Reagan,
Shit.
when I was under Reagan, and I was laid off for 3 years, I'm going to tell you this. That was the first time I ever saw the hose at the hoe house in the unemployment line. Now, when the hose at the hoe house can't make no money, you're in a bad economy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay. So the strip club. Okay. So yeah, you ain't gonna make it rain there. I mean, but you may
Oh, no way.
they may get a couple concussions from throwing these quarters. But they
Oh
gonna
shit.
they gonna get a few of them. They gonna get some change. But the reason why I said that about the power is because now forever you never hear about Canada doing nothing. You never hear about Canada standing. You know what I mean, like having to like stand up and like just pitch a bitch. You never actually hear them. You know what I mean? They're like really peaceful up north. Now, but you hear in the video that I played, it's like, okay, if you do this, we're gonna do this. You know what I mean? I think they need to cut it off for real, just to prove a point that
Yeah.
it's like if you say you go do it, you say if you get it, I'm gonna cut it off. Cut it off.
Do it.
Right. Just do it. You know what I mean? Not to where now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it to the point that it's going to, hurt someone on this end or whatever.
Sure.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it more along the lines as of say, okay, you don't want these tariffs. Now, we know that you can add the prices to it on this end. You're gonna pay the extra price. Okay, fine, you can do that. Is that really gonna like make people think that you're serious about what you're saying? No. But if I tell you, if you do this, I'm gonna put you in the dark, then put them in the dark.
Yeah.
Make your statement. Put them in the dark. One or two things gonna happen.
Mhm.
Either I'm gonna lift the tariff and you cut them lights back on, or everybody just gonna sit in the dark. Because mind you, you are a smaller country, but you do got a little bit of leverage there
With
because you
resource.
can basically put out the Northeast coast in the dark, and they know you can do it, and you're threatening to do it. So if you don't want the tariffs and you want them to go back and think about, redoing this, you know what I mean? Because I am still kind of wondering the reason why they went back and did it anyway, because I thought all they had to do was get the little drug czar thing, which they did. But then I heard on one of the other broadcasts where they said, well, they didn't do enough. Okay, so why didn't you tell them everything that you wanted them to do? You know what I mean? Why wait till the end and say, oh, well, you ain't do enough, I'm just gonna throw this on you? Okay, so put them in the dark. You know what I mean? You at home, your light bill due on the 30th, you don't pay it on the 30th. What happened? Click.
Go out.
Put them in the dark. You know what I mean? Put them in the dark. That's all I gotta say about it. Put them in the dark.
Just be a man of your word, essentially. If you're gonna say
Exactly.
do it,
You know,
because the
say you
quicker
gonna
that
do
the quicker you act on it, the quicker that we can actually solve it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna keep sitting here bickering back and forth. He's saying that he gonna do it. You saying, well, we've been real good to you. We've been your friend.
Mhm.
Why are you doing this? Okay, but then you got this one over here. Say, you know what? You do it, I'm gonna put your ass in the dark. Put
Yeah.
the ass in the dark.
Do it then. Yeah.
Yeah, do it. I mean, stop being kind, friendly Canada. Put them in the fucking dark. See what happens. What they gonna do? For real. They're gonna try to make a deal. Why? Because you gotta cut them lights back on. Simple. You don't pay your bill on time, they cut your shit off. Same rules apply. Cut it off.
True.
See what happens. Now, if they do it, people gonna be mad as hell.
Oh, absolutely, they'd be mad as hell.
Mad as hell. They put in the dark.
You damn straight. You damn straight.
But they just need to. They just need to, babe.
I can only imagine social media. You know what I mean? It just go wild. That shit would be insane.
Right. See, now they do it, and then next week we'll be talking and be like, you see what they did? You see they put them in the dark, right? How long did that last? 1 day. 1 day in the dark.
It'll be like history. It'll be like history in the United States.
Right.
You know,
Let's
we mark
cancel
that down. That day goes in freaking history books.
Right.
Yeah.
They take all kind of pictures from the satellite to show.
It's dark as hell.
Dark. You know what I
All
mean?
light. It's all bright as hell up in Canada. It's all dark down there.
Right.
Yep.
Everybody dark. You can be like, okay. You know what I mean? Candlelight don't, make sure you got your couple candles and a flashlight, and you got to be in the dark. But yeah, we've been on here an hour and a half.
We did a great job.
Yeah, we're gonna pipe this down a little bit. Like I said, we had a couple good topics. So of course that's gonna drag on a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot to talk about.
Okay, right. But like I said, like always, thank each and every one of you for coming out every Wednesday to check us out. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit that like button. We can get this show on the right algorithm, get it spread around. There's a lot of good stuff that we've been putting out here. So share it with someone. I mean, somebody, at least one. Share it with one person. Have them share it with somebody else. I mean, that's how we getting this done. Also, for the ones who dropped the super chats and the super stickers today, appreciate you. Much love to you. And for the ones that haven't, please do so. I mean, that's what keeps this show running. This ain't free. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money being spent on this show.
Damn straight.
So any and all help is greatly appreciated. Don't forget about the store. Go on there and check out the inventory we got on there. We got a lot of good stuff on there. Go on there and check it out. Put in the promo codes and get your 10, your 15. There's also a 20% discount on there as well. So go there and check that out. And like I said, I think that's about it for me today. I mean, I appreciate you all like always. And Aaron, I'm gonna turn this over to you, brother.
Okay. Again, I'm gonna just tell people we're living in perilous times. Good things do happen. I mean, bad things do happen to good people. Keep prepping right now more than ever. That's going to be needed. I mean, those people that could get the lights turned out on them, if they got a generator at the house, they've got supplies, it's just another day. But for those that get blindsided, it's going to be bad. So realize that the governments are going to be playing political games with each other, and you don't want to be the political pawn that gets taken off the board. And then I'm also going to ask for people to subscribe. Please subscribe. We want to get our membership up, and also comment on our videos that we do, our podcasts that we do. The more that you make comments, that puts us up in the algorithm. It gets the video out for more people to be able to see. So you might not think it's that important, but put a comment in. The more we get, the more views we're going to get to other people. So please help us out. And I'll stop there.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank, first of all, Archbishop and Aaron for always coming to the table with such great topics and of research and well prepared in all aspects, man. So I can't thank you gentlemen enough on the panel. I can't thank everyone in the chat enough. Thank you guys for hanging out with us and supporting us. We can't do this without you guys. Before we leave and head out, make sure you guys hit that like button. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. Helps out the show immensely. And until, listen, we'll be back here in 7 days, every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And listen, stick around for my side, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be rating our buddy Grid One Motorsports. Stick around, let them know we're coming through. And with that being said, God bless everyone and have a wonderful rest of your night.
Happy birthday, Ma.
That's awesome. Happy birthday.